Welcome to the first ever episode of Aussie Legends TV. This episode, I will be interviewing a pro wrestler that has collected many achievements, like being a former IPW Tag Team Champion, former APW Champion, former IPW Unified Champion, 2022 Golden Bell winner, and 2023 Santa Rumble winner, and your current IPW Heavyweight Champion, and the leader of the worst generation. It's the only one, Chad Atlas. How did you discover wrestling?
So my first introduction to wrestling was the 2008 Royal Rumble. At the time, being the fool that I am, I thought John Cena was a cool dude. So Cena's return at that particular Royal Rumble was the first moment that I really bought into wrestling and the story of what it could be at its best. Later on in my life, about 7 years ago now, I reached out to IPW Australia. I signed up, I started training, and from there, it's been pretty great since then.
That's awesome. I was wondering, what were you thinking when you made your first ever entrance?
So my first entrance was perhaps a little bit different than most. I didn't start with a traditional match. My first on-screen appearance with IPW at the time was as part of the backstage team. I was interviewing wrestlers, creating content, that sort of stuff. And so my first match came out of that. So I had a little bit of experience being in front of a camera, in front of a crowd, but it was really about going out there to do the job I set out to. I was really, I think determined was probably the best way to put it.
So how do you look at your younger self?
Idiot. Just a complete idiot. Young Chad, when he first got started, he wanted to be a hero for the people, and there's no money, there's no gold in it. So he was an idiot.
Yeah, I remember you had the tag team titles and you turned on your partner.
Yes, to be the first ever holder of the IPW Australia Golden Bell. Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, that was my first ever time being in the front row.
Yeah. Yeah, poor Nick Breeze, but hey, it all worked out for me, and that's what matters.
Yeah. So what's your favorite thing to do in the ring in front of the crowd?
Win.
Win. What's your favorite?
There's no other thing that we go out here to do, man. Like, there's no point in doing this unless you're going out there to win the whole damn thing.
Yeah. What's your favorite moment in your career?
Winning the IPW Heavyweight Championship was special. Winning the IPW Unified Championship was special as well as being the second ever Atomic Pro Wrestling World Champion. That was those were definitely some highlights for me.
Did you have different feelings while winning those titles, or was it like the same?
So IPW is and always will be my home. It's where I started wrestling. It's where I have put in the most time and effort. So becoming an IPW Australian champion was very much about the time. It was about the grind. It was about having earned my way to that spot. With Atomic Pro Wrestling, because it's a newer promotion that I had appeared at a handful of times, but then to have the opportunity to win there was really a recognition of the hard work I'd put in as a champion and as a wrestler. So it felt rewarding. Absolutely, it felt like such an achievement, but for very different reasons.
Yeah. What would be your dream match if you had to decide the wrestler and the type of match?
Here in Australia, or are we talking anywhere, big picture for everything? So main event, Madison Square Garden. I will team with The Miz to take on Prime 2006 second run DX.
Oh, that sounds like a classic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And definitely win.
Oh, obviously, and it can't be clean. There's no way I'm beating Trips or Shawn Michaels clean. But Dirty, I think we can manage Dirty.
Yeah. Um, so you're in the faction The Worst Generation.
I lead the faction, yes.
How did that come to be?
So I was at the time the IPW Unified Champion. This was about a year and a half ago now, and I'd started to see some people coming up the ranks, working their way up, who wanted to take my title away from me. So I figured it was a good idea to have some backup, have some people in my corner who would really watch my back, who would have my best interests in heart. So I recruited Blair Hex, the son of a witch. He was my first ever recruit to the Worst Generation. We picked up the Dirty Dang Mutt and Morgan a little while later, and more recently, the blunt instrument Sledgehammer.
Yeah. So one other thing I want to do is I'll say a wrestler or a tag team and you describe them in one word.
Gotcha.
Mutt.
Underrated.
Flashman.
Legacy.
The Un-Australians.
Idiots.
Sledgehammer.
Big.
So that's good. I was also wondering about your merch that you can buy at the
Mm-hmm.
shows. How did you come up
Yes.
with all the ideas?
I've always been a fan, as someone who buys wrestling merch, of things that don't look directly like wrestlers. So just having the name and the logo always seemed a little bit boring to me. It was never quite what I wanted to buy as someone who would buy wrestling merch back in the day. So I wanted to do things that were reflections of things that I liked, I thought were cool. So the Streets of Chad design I have, which is the blue pixel art retro fighter. I love retro fighters, Streets of Rage, the early Mortal Kombats, that sort of thing. So it was inspired by that. The God Save the Chad shirt is from a Sex Pistols cover. So it's inspired by that art off their album covers. And then there's other things in the pipeline that are going to be coming later that also draw from things that I like that aren't directly wrestling, and then putting a little bit of Chad into them.
Yeah, I did remember the Pixel one. I even added it to your 2K wrestler ever since
Yes,
then.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, so also IPW had the chance to perform at SEBA Super Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
You got to attend that. What was that experience to start to end?
So it's such a, because we were appearing as part of the pre-show entertainment. It was a special exhibition match that we had before the Titans took on, I believe it was the Sharks that night. Yes. It's a completely different world, because what we do normally, we are the attraction, we're the main event, we're what people are coming to see. So it was something where it was a little bit odd to be this in point of interest, this thing people were interested in it, obviously, but it was very much a sideshow. It was a second thing that was going on. So that was a little bit to get used to. It's a whole other zero on the end of the number of people that we normally have. You know, we have excellent, fantastic numbers with Dreamworld, and 400, 500, 600 people at our shows, but this is several thousand, which is an entirely different order of magnitude. And Blade, the Titans mascot, hit me really hard with a chair, and that sucked.
So
Didn't like that.
You're not the greatest fan of the Titans?
I am not a fan of organized sport in general. I suppose someone like, maybe like the Raiders would probably, if I had to pick a team, I do look good in green, or Manly as well. They have a good head on their shoulders, a good pedigree behind them.
Oh, yeah. Also, why did you put your name over the IPW logo on the title you're holding?
Well, a lot of the time when it comes down to championship belts, it's about the championship, right? It's about the title, the heritage that the belt has. And I just think I'm better.
Yeah.
So I think rather than the focus being on IPW, the focus should be on me. So I am more important than IPW in this instance, which is why my name goes on top.
Yeah. So you wouldn't see like names like Toa, the wrestler you're about to wrestle in a week.
Yeah, he's not going to win, so it's not really relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be walking out of the Sand Rumble as champion as I walked in. If Toa wants another shot, maybe he can do double duty and back up into the Rumble as well.
Yeah.
I can beat him twice.
Do you think what would the worst generation do to culture?
Well, there's 5 of us and there's 3 of them, so we would win. That seems pretty easy. Maths is, even someone like yourself can do that kind of
Yeah,
maths.
you don't need to wrestle dirty for it.
Oh, we will.
Yeah, you just do it anyways.
Yeah, why not? Winning's the only thing.
So I got some fan questions from a Q&A I did, and the first one's from Nick Storm Review. If Chad could choose a match out of anyone in WWE 2K24, who would it be?
Like a match to have against someone.
Yeah.
See, I got to admit, I do wrestling for real, so I don't play the 2K games a whole lot. Do we have older wrestlers on the 2K games, right? Like some of the legacy guys. Give me Ray. Give me Rey Mysterio.
Sure.
I think that could be. I see a lot of good work that Dom's doing, and I just want to carry that on.
I know. Take the legacy. Another question from Jacob is, can short people wrestle? Does height
Absolutely.
matter?
It matters in terms of to pull back the curtain, right? To let you in on a little bit of the secrets of it. It limits what you can do, but body type and your skill and ability is going to limit what you can do in any professional sport, any sort of context like that. Like there are some things where, by the limitations of my body, I cannot do certain things in the ring. And you can look at even the greatest of wrestlers out there cannot do absolutely everything. So it doesn't stop you, but you do have to be realistic that it will limit what you can and cannot do.
Yeah, like Rey Mysterio, Flashman are still good wrestlers. On the other side, like Andre the Giant,
Yeah.
Hammer.
There's no universe in the world where Yokozuna can do a moonsault.
Yeah.
But that's okay because he doesn't need to because he's Yoko freaking Zuna.
Yeah, that would be terrifying if he could.
Yeah.
Another question from What If Movies. If you could choose any actor to play you in a movie, who would it be?
That is a good question. I think I'd have to go with Charlie Hunnam. Sons of Anarchy is one of my favorite shows, and The Gentleman is my favorite movie. So I'm going to go with Charlie Hunnam.
Also, from Hype Man Roberto, when will this Ginger Ninja get a shot at your IP title?
Ginger Ninja owes me $300. So once he pays up and he owes me the money that he pays up the money he owes me, we'll have a little bit of a chat about a championship opportunity. But until and if that man pays me back, no shot.
What if he wins the Santa Rumble that he is expected to be in?
Sure, okay. If he can manage to pull that off, I guess he gets his championship opportunity. But that's it. That or he pays me my money.
Yeah. And do you have any future plans in the career? Is there any plans you want to let us know?
I think just continuing to be the great champion that I am today is really the next plan. Obviously, there's some big movement happening next year in the Brisbane scene for wrestling. I'm looking at going further afield as well, planning on taking some excursions down to Adelaide and to Melbourne, and maybe even going overseas again. My New Zealand tour, first successful international title defense in 16 years. So I think we keep that going.
Was there a difference between wrestling in Australia to New Zealand?
The difference was obviously it's a very different group of wrestlers as well. Like my opponent at Capital Pro Wrestling was a lad named Dusty Bridges, who's very, very good. Obviously not good enough because he lost, but he is still very good. So the wrestling was very similar, but the talent, the wrestlers themselves are obviously wildly different.
Yes. Is there anything else you want to talk about coming up to next week to Toa?
Look, Toa has not pinned me in a singles match. I just want to everyone. He has not pinned, and I have not tapped in a singles match with Toa. I just want everyone to keep that front of mind when they're going into this weekend. There's a lot of talk about Toa being the next big thing, being this great guy, and obviously, he's a multi-time tag team champion in his own right. He's a former unified champion here in IPW. He's the Pacifico champion down in Sydney. But at the end of the day, I made Toa when I gave him his first shot at my unified title, and I'm going to break him next weekend. And that's the end of it.
Are you saying without that title shot, he wouldn't be the next upping?
Well, he got it, so it doesn't matter. He maybe would have gotten there eventually, but that was the catalyst that put Toa on the map for a lot of people. And I'm so sorry for you having to put up with him for like a year and a half since that time. I feel responsible,
Thanks. Also, going back in time when you got the gold bell, why did you do that?
Because I had done everything I wanted to as a tag team champion. Nick Breeze and I, we didn't really see eye to eye. We weren't connecting on a level where we could continue to be a strong tag team. So I had a chat with JC Ace, IPW commissioner. We worked out a little bit of a deal, and I went off on my singles career, and he faded into obscurity.
So absolutely no regrets?
Absolutely none.
What about your Santa Rumble win in 2023, just a year ago?
Well, I won, so why would I have any regrets?
It was nice to see you win after the following year you came second place.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. We can talk about me winning. That was cool. When I went from first to last entrant, taking out the whole damn thing and starting my run to being the heavyweight champion that I am today. We can forget about 2022 and 2021, okay? No, we're fine. We can move on.
We don't need to remember when Bojack threw you over the top.
No, we really don't.
No, we do.
We don't need to mention Bojack at all.
So, do you see yourself staying in Australia, or is there any places you want to go as your goal, your career?
I'm not really been setting goals in terms of where it's going to be. It's been more about what I'm going to do when I get there. So if I find myself in the position where I can take a tour of Europe or a tour of America, or Japan as well, those are sort of the big three that I would be looking at. I definitely would consider it, but it's not something I'm planning for. Not at this time.
Yeah. Also, what's your favorite match type? Do you like it to be rules in there? Do you like steel cages? Like what kind of weapons?
I like a straight up and down mat based contest. Because if my opponent is limited in what they can do and I'm not, that's an advantage to me. If it's a no DQ match, he can just batter me with whatever he wants, and that doesn't seem very fair. That being said, I am quite fond of, as a spectacle, as someone watching wrestling, the Iron Survivor match is a very cool match type. Deadline had some very impressive wrestling. The wrong man won. It should have been Ethan Page, but it was a very good show.
So you don't have any more goals on what the worst generation will do now?
Well, I'd like to see them pull them up from their bootstraps and claim some gold themselves. Since starting the faction, I have been the only champion in Worst Generation. So if they can sort it out, if Mutt can deal with the EC Diamond problem, if we can see some championship gold around the waist of Morgan, Hex, and Sledgehammer, that'd be good. I'd like to see them do that.
Like the tag team gold?
Yeah, tag team gold, the women's championship. Hell, go into whatever fucking dusty closet the hardcore championship is and bring that one out. Why not?
Are you worried about the Santa Rumble next week? About who could possibly return and win?
There's some big names that are on the card, some people who are going to be there. I did see earlier this week that EC Diamond has declared he's going to be an entrant into a Rumble. And I think the only thing I think is if he wins, I should get a shot at his championship. If he gets a shot at mine, so if he ends up winning and we do sort of like a winner takes all kind of situation, I wouldn't mind that. But no, I'm not worried. I'm never worried.
And what's the next question? Do you want to branch into tag team titles again?
I think I like to focus on the work that I'm doing. I like to give 110% to what I commit to. So while I'm still and will continue to be the heavyweight champion, I'm going to focus on that. But Worst Gen, there's five of us. We could absolutely see a tag team freebird situation going on, and if that happens, I'm going to win that too. So I'm definitely not opposed to it. But I've got some things to look after first.
Yeah, like two belt Chad Atlas sounds good.
Two belt Chad does sound good, but it is a lot of work. So
Yeah. Do you have any picks to win the Santa Rumble?
yeah, like I said, the Mutt is underrated. If he ends up being declared as an entrant, he's a strong pick to win it. Just personally in here, I know that Ethan Shea has been declared as a returning competitor. He seems very motivated. He seems like he really wants it. And of course, Hypermale Roberto is a man who has a lot of well, not hair, but he has a lot of character. So maybe he could pull out an upset there.
And last question: do you think first generation is strong enough to stay together, gold losing gold throughout the years?
Well, we're not going to be losing, so let's just scratch that off the list right now. And absolutely, I mean, Worst Gen is founded on the principle that we were hungry, that we wanted something more, that we were going to take something more from the people who didn't want to give it to us. And as long as there's more for us to take, Worst Gen is going to keep on taking it.
Yes. Before I end this, do you want to like advertise any merch or upcoming shows?
IPW Santa Rumble is next weekend, December 21st. I will be defending my heavyweight championship against the Polynesian powerhouse, the Samoan Lionheart Toa. There's some other big matches which are in the pipeline, of course, including the 20-man over the top rope Santa Rumble. Whichever poor soul ends up winning that one will be getting a run at my title in January, which is just terrible news for them. But hey, they'll do their best. That's the big one coming up. Obviously, there is AEW coming to Brisbane next year in February. We're going to be seeing if you haven't heard, they're going to be they're going to be operating out of the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. AEW Grand Slam should be very, very cool. There's going to be the Pro Wrestling League Renegades of Wrestling Super Show on that Friday prior, as well as New Japan Tamashi taking place on the Sunday. So very big weekend of wrestling here in Brisbane coming up in February. And of course, IPW Australia, as part of the Dreamworld Night Markets, will continue into 2025. So stay tuned for more shows and more dates for that.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I can't wait to see what happens next year. And I haven't been to a wrestling show for 3 years because I'm nowhere near one. But I can't wait for the
Well, that's
Santa
your
Rumble
fault. So
because I'm going to be in front row.
cool. I'll look forward to ignoring you when you want to high five me.
Can't wait to watch your match if you notice me or not.
All right, man. Are we done now? Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. All right.
Have a good day. Awesome interview. Oh, he left. Well, thank you for watching, everybody, and I hope I can get a second video out very soon. Enjoy your days, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Champ Chad Atlas for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And ding the bell.